18 centuries ago, under a sky shrouded in darkness, the serene village of Elder Mist faced an unimaginable nightmare. On that fateful night, colossal beings known as the Mongolos descended upon the village, turning peace into chaos. These giants, unlike anything the villagers had ever seen, unleashed devastation that would forever etch itself into the annals of Elder Mist's history. What compelled these towering creatures to annihilate their own sanctuary? Elder Mist, cradled by the ancient Blackthorn Forest, was a village where tradition and community thrived. The villagers, steadfast and united, celebrated their harvests with vibrant festivals that lit up the long autumn nights. Lanterns floated in the air, casting a warm glow on smiling faces, while children danced around towering bonfires, their laughter blending with the melodies of old folk songs. Elder Mist was a place where legends were not just stories, but the very fabric of daily life, tales of spirits that guarded the forest and ensured the village's prosperity. Yet, beneath the surface of this idyllic existence, secrets lingered, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves. But on one moonless night, everything changed. The joyous celebration was shattered by an earth-shaking roar, and the sky seemed to open up with darkness as the Mongolos emerged from the depths of Blackthorn Forest. These behemoths, with their towering frames and eyes that burned like molten fire, moved with an unsettling swiftness, leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. The villagers, unprepared and terrified, watched as their homes were obliterated and loved ones lost to the chaos. King Aldrich, the revered leader of Elder Mist, faced an unprecedented crisis, one that even his vast knowledge could not explain. Desperate for answers, he turned to Thaddeus, the village historian, whose quest for truth would lead him into the heart of darkness itself. Join us as we explore the origins of the Mongolos, the desperate measures taken to restore peace, and the enduring legacy of that terrifying night. Welcome to Haunted Horror Whisperer, your gateway to the most haunting and mysterious stories from the past and present. Here, we explore the mysteries that lie in the shadows, bringing you tales that will keep you on the edge of your seat. If you're passionate about spine-tingling narratives and unsolved phenomena, you're in the right place. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell icon so you never miss an episode of our latest explorations into the unknown. Now, let's transport ourselves back in time to the tranquil village of Elder Mist, where an ordinary night became an extraordinary battle for survival. Elder Mist lay cradled beneath the sprawling embrace of the ancient Blackthorn Forest, a haven untouched by the turmoil that plagued the outside world. This secluded village, with its cobblestone streets and timbered cottages, exuded a timeless charm, as if suspended between epochs. The towering pines of Blackthorn stood sentinel around Elder Mist, their dense canopies filtering sunlight into dappled patterns on the ground below. The villagers of Elder Mist were a close-knit community, their lives intertwined by generations of shared history and mutual reliance. Each household was a testament to craftsmanship and resilience, with thatched roofs and sturdy walls designed to withstand the harshest of seasons. The air was perpetually tinged with the earthy scent of pine and the sweet aroma of blooming wildflowers, a constant reminder of the forest's omnipresence. Elder Mist thrived under the canopy of Blackthorn, its prosperity rooted in agriculture, craftsmanship, and a profound respect for the natural world. The villagers, bound by tradition and community, nurtured their land with unwavering dedication. Fields of golden wheat swayed gently in the breeze, orchards bore the weight of ripened fruit, and livestock roamed freely, grazing on the verdant pastures that surrounded the village. Despite its isolation, Elder Mist was far from stagnant. Trade caravans occasionally traversed the rugged paths leading to the village, bringing with them goods and news from distant lands. These visitors were welcomed with open arms, their presence a fleeting yet cherished connection to the broader world beyond the forest's edge. Yet, even as Elder Mist maintained its tranquil existence, an undercurrent of unease quietly persisted, a shadow cast by the very woods that provided for its people. Life in Elder Mist unfolded with a rhythm as steady as the seasons themselves. Each day began with the crowing of roosters, signaling the start of dawn. Villagers rose with the sun, their routines meticulously woven into the fabric of daily existence. Farmers tended to their fields, their hands expertly guiding plows through rich, dark soil. The rhythmic clatter of tools echoed across the landscape as seeds were sown, destined to nurture the village's sustenance. In the heart of Elder Mist, the smithy was a hub of activity. The blacksmith, with muscles honed from years of labor, shaped metal with a skill that seemed almost otherworldly. Sparks flew with every strike of the hammer, illuminating the determined expression on his face. Nearby, weavers spun vibrant threads into intricate fabrics, their looms singing a quiet song of creation. Craftsmen and artisans took pride in their work, creating goods that were both functional and beautiful. Potters molded clay into sturdy vessels, while carpenters crafted furniture that adorned each home with both elegance and practicality. The marketplace buzzed with exchanges, where goods were bartered and stories were shared, reinforcing the bonds that held the community together. As the day progressed, communal gatherings provided a respite from the toil. The village square, adorned with blooming flowers and sturdy benches, became a stage for performances and celebrations. Children played games that echoed the laughter of past generations, their joy a beacon of hope and continuity. Elders shared wisdom through tales that wove the village's history with lessons of resilience and unity. Evenings in Elder Mist were marked by a sense of togetherness. Families gathered around hearths, the warm glow of firelight casting dancing shadows on walls adorned with tapestries depicting ancestral lore. Meals were shared with hearty fare, each dish a reflection of the land's bounty and the villagers' enduring spirit. As night descended, the village settled into a peaceful slumber, the sounds of the forest whispering a lullaby that carried them into dreams. Yet, beneath the surface of this harmonious existence, subtle tensions lay dormant. The villagers, while united, were not without their individual struggles and secrets. The unwavering dedication to tradition sometimes stifled innovation, and the close quarters of the village fostered both camaraderie and rivalry. These unspoken undercurrents hinted at the fragility of Elder Mist's serenity, a fragile balance that would soon be tested in ways no one could have foreseen. Legends were the lifeblood of Elder Mist, their roots deeply entwined with the very essence of the Blackthorn Forest. The elders, revered for their wisdom, were the keepers of these tales, passing them down through generations with a reverence that bordered on the sacred. These stories were not merely for entertainment, they were the moral compass and cultural cornerstone of the village, guiding behavior and instilling a profound respect for the natural world. One such legend spoke of the Sylvans, ethereal beings who dwelled within the heart of Blackthorn. These guardians were believed to embody the spirit of the forest, ensuring its protection and the prosperity of Elder Mist. The Sylvans were depicted as luminous figures with flowing hair and eyes that mirrored the depth of the forest itself. They were both benevolent and formidable, capable of nurturing the land or unleashing its fury when provoked. Another tale recounted the origins of the Mongolos, those shrouded in mystery and fear. According to lore, the Mongolos were once the protectors of Elder Mist, transformed by a powerful curse that twisted their forms and intentions. This legend served as a cautionary reminder of the delicate balance between man and nature, and the dire consequences of disrupting that harmony. The villagers held these stories in high esteem, integrating them into their daily lives through rituals and ceremonies. During the harvest festival, for instance, the tale of the Sylvans was reenacted with vibrant dances and intricate costumes, symbolizing gratitude and reverence for the forest's blessings. These performances were more than mere tradition, they were a communal affirmation of the villagers' bond with the land and its unseen guardians. However, not all legends were met with universal acceptance. Skeptics within Elder Mist dismissed certain tales as fanciful myths, believing that rationality and practicality should guide their actions. Yet, even the skeptics could not entirely ignore the inexplicable phenomena that occasionally surfaced: unexplained lights in the forest, strange sounds echoing through the night, and fleeting glimpses of figures that defied logical explanation. These legends, whether embraced or questioned, permeated every aspect of Elder Mist's culture. They shaped the villagers' perceptions, influenced their decisions, and underscored the ever-present connection between humanity and the enigmatic forces that governed their secluded existence. As the festival drew near, The air was thick with anticipation, unaware that the very legends they held dear were about to converge with reality in the most terrifying of ways. At the heart of Eldermist's governance stood King Aldric, a figure embodying both strength and wisdom. His presence commanded respect, not through fear, but through a genuine concern for his people's well-being. King Aldric was a man of vision, always seeking ways to improve the village while preserving its cherished traditions. His leadership style fostered a sense of unity and trust, essential qualities in a community reliant on cooperation and mutual support. Beside him stood Thaddeus, the village historian, whose dedication to preserving Eldermist's heritage was unparalleled. Thaddeus was a man of quiet intellect, often found engrossed in ancient tomes or meticulously documenting the village's history. His deep knowledge of lore and legend made him an invaluable advisor, especially in times of uncertainty. Thaddeus possessed an innate curiosity that drove him to explore the boundaries of the known and the mystical, a trait that would prove crucial in the days to come. Among the notable villagers was Ilara, the skilled healer, whose remedies and potions were sought after by all. Ilara's compassion and expertise made her a pillar of support, especially in the aftermath of any calamity. Her intuitive understanding of herbs and natural remedies was complemented by a keen sense of empathy, allowing her to mend both physical wounds and emotional scars. Then there was Rowan, the village blacksmith, whose robust frame and gentle demeanor belied his incredible craftsmanship. Rowan's forge was a place of both creation and solace, where the rhythmic pounding of metal was a constant backdrop to his methodical work. His creations were not only practical tools but also works of art, reflecting the beauty and strength of Eldermist itself. Leora, the weaver, was another key figure, her intricate tapestries telling stories of past generations and imagined futures. Leora's artistry was a source of pride for the village, her work displayed in every home as a symbol of Eldermist's enduring legacy. Her ability to translate tales into visual masterpieces made her a vital conduit for the village's oral traditions. These individuals, each with their unique strengths and unwavering dedication, formed the backbone of Eldermist. Their interactions were marked by mutual respect and a shared commitment to the village's prosperity. As the harvest festival approached, their roles became increasingly significant, setting the stage for the events that would soon test their resilience and the very foundation of their harmonious existence. King Aldric's leadership was about to be challenged in ways he could never have anticipated. Thaddeus's thirst for knowledge would drive him into the depths of the Blackthorn forest, uncovering secrets that had long been forgotten. Ilara's healing hands would be tested against the physical and emotional wounds inflicted by the impending darkness. Rowan's strength would be needed to protect those he loved, while Leora's artistry would capture the essence of a story that would become legend itself. Together, they stood on the precipice of a night that would forever alter the course of Eldermist's history. The bonds they shared and the strengths they possessed would be pushed to their limits, revealing the true nature of courage, sacrifice, and the unbreakable spirit of a community bound by more than just tradition. It was a bond forged in the face of unspeakable horror. Under the vast expanse of a starless sky, Eldermist was alive with celebration. The Harvest Festival was in full swing, a cherished tradition that marked the culmination of a bountiful season. Lanterns hung from every doorway, casting a warm, golden glow that bathed the village in a comforting light. The air was filled with the rich aromas of roasted meats, sweet pastries, and freshly baked bread, enticing the senses and fueling the joyous atmosphere. Children darted between the grown-ups, their laughter ringing out as they played games and danced around the central bonfire. Their carefree movements mirrored the vitality of the harvest, each twirl and leap a proof to the village's enduring spirit. Elders sat together, their faces illuminated by the flickering flames, as they shared stories of past festivals and the legends that had been passed down through generations. The Great Hall, the heart of Eldermist, was adorned with garlands of autumn leaves and vibrant tapestries depicting scenes of agricultural triumph and communal harmony. Musicians played lively tunes on fiddles and flutes, their melodies intertwining with the murmurs of contented conversation. Villagers gathered in clusters, exchanging news, sharing laughter, and reveling in the unity that the festival brought. As the night deepened, the celebratory fervor showed no signs of waning. The community's bond was palpable, each person contributing to the collective joy that defined Elder Mist. The village thrived under the protective embrace of the blackthorn forest, its inhabitants secure in the knowledge that their traditions and connections would sustain them through any challenge. Little did they know, however, that the serenity of their celebration was about to be shattered by forces beyond their understanding. As midnight approached, a profound silence began to envelop Elder Mist. The jubilant sounds of the festival faded, replaced by an uneasy stillness that settled over the village like a heavy blanket. The villagers, caught between exhaustion and lingering merriment, found themselves standing on the brink of nightfall, unaware of the catastrophe about to unfold. Without warning, the ground beneath their feet began to quake violently, the vibrations growing stronger with each passing moment. Panic surged through the crowd as the tremors intensified, causing lanterns to sway precariously and the very foundations of the great hall to groan under the strain. The joyful ambience was abruptly shattered by a series of deafening crashes as the massive doors of the hall were forcefully thrust open. An acrid scent filled the air, overwhelming the sweet fragrances of the festival with a harsh, burning odor that made it difficult to breathe. From the depths of the darkness beyond the doorway emerged the Mongolos, colossal beings that stood far taller than the tallest pines surrounding Elder Mist. Their forms were monstrous and imposing, with thick, muscular bodies that seemed almost invulnerable. Eyes that glowed with an intense, fiery light pierced through the darkness, locking onto the terrified villagers with a malevolent focus. The Mongolos moved with alarming speed, their heavy footsteps resonating through the hall as they advanced with unrelenting determination. Their elongated limbs ended in razor-sharp claws, capable of tearing through wood and stone with ease. Each movement was deliberate, exuding a sense of unstoppable force that left no room for hope. The sight of these towering beasts brought a collective gasp of horror from the assembled crowd, their previous celebration now replaced by sheer terror. Elder Mist, the Mongolos seemed to intone with their presence, is no longer a place of peace. With a single, unified charge, the Mongolos began their assault, their powerful frames causing devastation wherever they stepped. The once protective walls of the great hall crumbled under their might, sending debris raining down upon the villagers below. Screams of fear and anguish echoed through the night as the Mongolos tore through the hall, their movements leaving nothing but chaos and destruction in their wake. The devastation wrought by the Mongolos extended far beyond the confines of the great hall. With each thunderous step, the colossal beings traversed the village, their presence transforming Elder Mist from a haven of peace into a landscape of ruin. Homes that had stood for generations were obliterated in moments, their sturdy walls unable to withstand the relentless onslaught. Timber splintered, roofs were ripped away, and the once orderly streets were thrown into disarray. Livestock, once grazing peacefully in the fields, fell prey to the merciless predators. The cries of frightened animals mingled with the anguished screams of the villagers, creating a cacophony of despair that filled the air. Barns were torn apart, livestock scattered and injured, their fate sealed by the unyielding ferocity of the Mongolos. In the midst of the chaos, villagers fled in every direction, their faces contorted with fear and desperation. Families clung to each other, seeking safety amidst the destruction that now surrounded them. The bonds of community, once a source of strength, were tested by the sheer terror of the attack. Panic drove the villagers to act instinctively, their attempts to find refuge often resulting in further confusion and loss. The Mongolos continued their rampage with unrelenting efficiency, their actions driven by an unknown motive that left the villagers powerless to counteract. Buildings that had stood as symbols of unity and tradition were reduced to rubble, the very essence of Elder Mist's identity being torn apart by the overwhelming force of the invaders. The village, once a picture of harmony, was now a tableau of despair and annihilation. This was not a random act of violence, it became clear to the villagers. These creatures were here with a purpose, one that would forever alter the course of our history. As the night wore on, the true extent of the Mongolos' devastation became apparent. The once thriving village was now a landscape of destruction, its people grappling with the immediate aftermath of the attack. The sense of security that had defined Elder Mist for centuries was irrevocably shattered, replaced by an overwhelming sense of vulnerability and fear. In the face of unimaginable destruction, the villagers of Elder Mist rallied to defend their homes and loved ones. Armed with whatever weapons they could muster, bows, arrows, spears, and makeshift tools, they launched a desperate counterattack against the Mongolos. The air was thick with the sounds of clashing metal and the strained cries of those who fought valiantly against overwhelming odds. Arrows flew through the air, their sharp tips aimed with a blend of hope and desperation. The archers, despite their skill, found that their arrows had little effect on the monstrous invaders. The Mongolos, with their thick hides and immense strength, shrugged off the attacks as if they were nothing more than minor irritations. Spears were thrust with all their might, only to be easily swatted aside by the towering beasts. The villagers' attempts to fight back were met with brutal efficiency. The Mongolos moved through the village with ease, their massive frames undeterred by the villagers' efforts. Each failed attempt to repel the attackers only deepened the villagers' sense of hopelessness. The sounds of battle, clashing weapons, thudding impacts, and the anguished cries of the wounded, filled the night, creating an atmosphere of relentless struggle. This was a battle they could not win, the villagers realized, their spirits sinking as they watched their efforts fail against the unstoppable force of the Mongolos. The futility of their resistance became painfully evident, as each attack was effortlessly countered by the invaders' raw power and unyielding determination. Despite the odds, pockets of courage emerged among the villagers. Some stood firm, refusing to abandon their homes without a fight, their determination a flicker of hope amidst the darkness. Others sought to protect the vulnerable, guiding children and the injured to safety even as their own strength waned. These acts of bravery, though ultimately unable to stem the tide of destruction, served as acknowledgement of resilience and enduring spirit of Elder Mist's people. As the night dragged on, the initial attempts at defense gave way to a grim realization: the Mongolos were not just destroying buildings, they were dismantling the very foundation of Elder Mist's way of life. The villagers, united by their shared fear and desperation, faced the stark truth that their beloved village was being torn apart by forces beyond their control. The once secure walls of Elder Mist were now breached by an onslaught that left nothing untouched, forcing the villagers to confront the terrifying reality of their situation. As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, the chaos that had consumed Elder Mist began to fade, leaving behind a landscape of devastation. The once vibrant village now lay in ruins, its structures reduced to splintered wood and shattered stone. The Great Hall, a symbol of unity and celebration, stood broken, its walls torn apart by the unrelenting assault of the Mongolos. Survivors emerged from the wreckage, their faces etched with grief and disbelief. Families huddled together amidst the debris, mourning the loss of loved ones and the destruction of their homes. The air was thick with the acrid scent of smoke and the lingering stench of sulfur, a stark reminder of the night's horrors. Villagers moved slowly, their steps heavy with sorrow and the weight of their collective trauma. In the aftermath, Elder Mist was a scene of despair. Fields that had once been meticulously tended were now trampled and scorched. Livestock lay lifeless in the remnants of barns, victims of the Mongolos' merciless onslaught. The marketplace, once a bustling center of commerce and community, was now silent, its stalls overturned and goods scattered in disarray. The village's sense of security had been irrevocably shattered. Elder Mist had always been a place where life was simple and predictable, governed by the rhythms of nature and the strength of community bonds. But the Mongolos' attack had disrupted that fragile equilibrium, leaving the villagers to grapple with the aftermath of unprecedented destruction and loss. Amidst the ruins, the true extent of the devastation began to surface. Homes that had stood for generations were now mere shadows of their former selves, their walls breached and roofs caved in. Personal belongings lay scattered, each item telling a story of lives abruptly interrupted. The villagers, though resilient, found themselves facing a future filled with uncertainty and fear, struggling to comprehend the magnitude of what had transpired. As the sun climbed higher, casting a harsh light on the battered village, the survivors were left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives. The trauma of the night would leave scars that ran deep, both visible and invisible, as Elder Mist began the slow and arduous process of rebuilding. Yet, amidst the sorrow and devastation, a flicker of hope remained, a determination to uncover the truth behind the Mongolos and prevent such a tragedy from ever occurring again. King Aldrich, a figure of unwavering strength and wisdom, now found himself grappling with a profound sense of despair. The unprecedented attack had not only ravaged his beloved village but had also shattered his confidence in the safety and security he had worked so diligently to maintain. The devastation left him questioning the very foundations of Elder Mist's existence and his ability to protect his people. In the solitude of his chambers, King Aldrich pored over maps and ancient texts, seeking any clue that might explain the origin and motive of the Mongolos. The flickering candlelight cast long shadows on the walls, mirroring the uncertainty that clouded his mind. Nights that were once filled with strategic discussions and council meetings were now dominated by restless contemplation and sleepless worry. His advisors, though loyal and competent, could offer little solace. Each suggested various theories, from territorial disputes to natural disasters, but none provided a clear understanding of the invaders' true nature. The absence of any historical reference to creatures like the Mongolos only deepened the mystery, leaving Aldrich with more questions than answers. The king's frustration was palpable as he wrestled with the enormity of the situation. Elder Mist had always thrived under his leadership, guided by principles of unity and respect for tradition. Yet, this crisis exposed the village's vulnerability and the limits of his knowledge. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily upon him, intensifying his desperation to find a solution that could safeguard his people from future threats. Amidst his sleepless nights, King Aldrich could not shake the image of the Mongolos wreaking havoc upon his village. The memory of their ferocity and the fear in his people's eyes haunted him, driving him to seek answers with an urgency that bordered on obsession. He knew that understanding the Mongolos was crucial not only for the immediate recovery but also for ensuring the long-term survival of Elder Mist. Determined to act, Aldrich began to explore every possible avenue in his quest for knowledge. He reached out to neighboring villages, consulted with traveling scholars, and even explored the obscure and forgotten sections of the village's archives. Yet, every effort seemed futile, as the Mongolos remained an enigma shrouded in mystery. The king's desperation grew, pushing him to consider unconventional methods and untapped sources of information in his relentless pursuit of answers. In his search for understanding, King Aldrich turned to Thaddeus, the village historian whose dedication to preserving Elder Mist's heritage was unmatched. Thaddeus had spent years chronicling the village's history, poring over ancient manuscripts, and safeguarding the oral traditions that had been passed down through generations. His deep knowledge of lore and legend made him an invaluable asset in the current crisis. One evening, under the dim glow of a single lantern, Aldrich summoned Thaddeus to his chambers. The historian arrived with a sense of solemn duty, fully aware of the gravity of the situation. The two men stood in silence for a moment, the weight of their shared concern hanging heavily in the air. "King Aldrich, Thaddeus, our historian, you must help us understand these creatures. There is no record of such beings." "Thaddeus, I have scoured every tome and scroll, sire. There is no mention of the Mongolos. They are unlike anything we've ever encountered." Thaddeus's voice held a mixture of determination and uncertainty. The lack of any historical reference to the Mongolos only deepened the mystery, but it also fueled his resolve to uncover the truth. The historian knew that if there was a way to save Elder Mist, it would lie within the forgotten corners of their past. Despite the daunting lack of information, Thaddeus remained undeterred. His unwavering commitment to Elder Mist's survival spurred him to take action. He understood that without answers, the village remained vulnerable to the threats that had already taken a devastating toll. Thaddeus began preparations for a perilous journey into the heart of the Blackthorn Forest, the very place where the veil between the natural and supernatural was believed to be thin. With a lantern to guide his way through the encroaching darkness, a worn map marked with old trails and landmarks, and a satchel filled with essentials, he set out under the cover of dusk. His departure was met with a mixture of hope and anxiety from the villagers. Some feared he would never return, while others clung to the belief that his quest might hold the key to their salvation. Thaddeus's footsteps echoed softly on the gravel path as he ventured deeper into the forest, each step taking him further away from the safety of Eldermist and closer to the unknown. As he journeyed into the dense woods, the familiar sounds of the village gave way to the eerie whispers of the forest. The trees, ancient and towering, seemed to close in around him, their branches intertwining overhead to form a natural canopy that blocked out the fading light. The air grew cooler, and the path beneath his feet became less discernible, swallowed by layers of fallen leaves and tangled roots. Thaddeus pressed on, guided by an inner resolve that propelled him forward despite the mounting unease. He knew that the answers he sought were hidden within these woods, in places where the ordinary and the extraordinary intersected. The forest, with its deep-rooted history and unspoken secrets, was both a formidable adversary and a potential source of the knowledge needed to save Eldermist. As night descended once more, the forest took on a new character. Shadows lengthened, and the sounds of nocturnal creatures filled the air, creating a symphony of uncertainty. Thaddeus lit his lantern, its flickering flame casting a small circle of light that seemed insufficient against the encroaching darkness. Yet, it was a beacon of his determination, a symbol of his commitment to his people and the hope that guided him through the perilous unknown. With each step, Thaddeus felt the weight of his mission settle upon him. The path was fraught with challenges, both physical and psychological, as he navigated through the labyrinthine underbrush and confronted the remnants of the village's own history etched into the forest's landscape. His mind raced with possibilities, each one more desperate than the last, as he sought to piece together the puzzle of the Mongolos and the ancient curse that had befallen Eldermist. The further he ventured, the more the forest seemed to react to his presence. Branches creaked and swayed, leaves rustled with unspoken warnings, and the darkness pressed in on him, amplifying every sound and movement. Yet, Thaddeus's resolve did not waver. He knew that the fate of Eldermist hinged on his ability to uncover the truth hidden within Blackthorn Forest, and he was prepared to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As the night deepened, Thaddeus reached a secluded clearing where the moonlight broke through the canopy, illuminating a path he had not noticed before. It was here that he would begin the next phase of his quest, a journey that would test his courage and determination in ways he could never have anticipated. The promise of answers, and the possibility of redemption for his village, awaited him in the depths of the forest. The path before him led to an ancient stone structure, partially obscured by overgrown vines and moss. Thaddeus approached with caution, the significance of this place not immediately clear but undeniable in its presence. The air around him seemed to hum with energy, a silent whisper urging him to uncover the secrets that lay hidden within. He knew that this was a pivotal moment, one that could alter the course of Eldermist's future forever. Taking a deep breath, Thaddeus steeled himself for what lay ahead. His journey into the heart of Blackthorn Forest had only just begun, and with it, the discovery of truths that would challenge everything he knew about his village and the world beyond. With unwavering determination, he stepped forward, the path unfolding before him like the first pages of an ancient, forgotten tome. As he dug further, the sounds of Eldermist faded, replaced by the forest's own symphony. The gentle whisper of the wind through the trees mingled with the distant calls of nocturnal creatures, creating an eerie melody that seemed to echo his own heartbeat. The path ahead became less defined, the underbrush thickening and the trees growing closer, their gnarled branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. Thaddeus felt a chill run down his spine, not from the cool night air, but from the sense that he was being watched. The forest around him seemed to breathe, every rustle and snap of a twig heightening his awareness. Shadows shifted at the edge of his vision, disappearing when he turned to confront them. The deeper he ventured, the more the forest seemed to close in, its vastness both awe-inspiring and intimidating. Despite the growing unease, Thaddeus pressed on, driven by an unwavering resolve to uncover the truth behind the Mongolos. He knew that the answers he sought lay hidden within these woods, protected by the very legends that had been dismissed by some of his fellow villagers. The journey ahead was fraught with uncertainty, but Thaddeus's determination remained steadfast, a beacon guiding him through the darkness. As Thaddeus navigated the dense forest, the environment began to change in subtle yet unnerving ways. The trees seemed to grow taller and closer together, their trunks thick and knotted, forming natural archways that distorted the path ahead. The flickering light of his lantern cast long, wavering shadows that danced unnaturally, playing tricks on his weary eyes. Every now and then, a flash of movement caught his attention, a swift dart of shadow slipping between the trees, or a fleeting glimpse of a figure standing motionless before disappearing when approached. These apparitions were elusive, never revealing their full form, leaving Thaddeus to wonder if his mind was succumbing to exhaustion or if the forest itself was alive with unseen entities. The air grew heavier, charged with an energy that made each breath feel more laborious. Strange lights began to flicker at the periphery of his vision, glowing softly before fading into the darkness. Thaddeus paused, his senses on high alert, straining to discern any patterns or signs that might indicate the presence of the Mongolos or other unknown forces. As he ventured deeper, the ambient sounds of the forest shifted. The gentle rustling of leaves gave way to more disconcerting noises, soft, almost imperceptible whispers that seemed to emanate from all directions, and the distant, echoing footsteps of creatures unknown. These sounds created an unsettling backdrop, amplifying the sense of isolation and vulnerability that enveloped him. Thaddeus's heart pounded in his chest, each beat a reminder of the stakes involved in his quest. The forest, once a source of sustenance and shelter, now felt like a labyrinth of hidden threats, each corner potentially harboring dangers that defied explanation. Yet, amidst the mounting tension, there was an undeniable allure, an irresistible pull that urged him to continue, to push forward in his search for the truth. With every step, the forest seemed to challenge his resolve, testing his endurance and mental fortitude. The path ahead was shrouded in uncertainty, and the supernatural elements he encountered only deepened the mystery surrounding the Mongolos. Thaddeus knew that he was treading into territory where the lines between reality and legend blurred, where the forest itself held secrets that had been carefully guarded through the ages. After what felt like hours of relentless trekking through the dense foliage, Thaddeus emerged into a secluded clearing bathed in an otherworldly glow. At the center stood a colossal stone monolith, its surface covered in intricate carvings that shimmered with an ethereal luminescence. The monolith rose majestically, a silent sentinel amidst the encroaching darkness, its presence both imposing and enigmatic. Thaddeus approached cautiously, the ground beneath his feet firm and undisturbed despite the chaos that had unfolded in Elder Mist. The carvings on the monolith were unlike anything he had ever seen, complex patterns and symbols that seemed to pulse with a life of their own, casting faint, colorful glows that illuminated the immediate area with a haunting beauty. He reached out a tentative hand, fingers brushing against the cool, rough surface of the stone. As he traced the carvings, a surge of energy coursed through him, a sensation that was both exhilarating and overwhelming. Visions began to flood his mind, flashes of ancient rituals, scenes of harmony between humans and mystical beings, and moments of betrayal that had irrevocably altered the course of Elder Mist's history. As Thaddeus investigated more thoroughly into the secrets etched into the monolith, the true extent of the ancient curse began to unfold before his eyes. The intricate carvings were not mere decorations but detailed narratives that chronicled the history of Elder Mist and its bond with the mystical guardians of Blackthorn Forest. Each symbol told a story of unity, sacrifice, and the delicate balance that had once sustained both the village and the enchanted woods. Through the visions that now played vividly in his mind, Thaddeus witnessed the rise of the Mongolos as noble protectors. These beings were revered for their strength and wisdom, ensuring that Elder Mist thrived under their watchful presence. The villagers and the guardians shared a profound connection, their lives intertwined in a harmonious dance of mutual respect and cooperation. However, this era of peace was not destined to last. A fateful event, a tragic misunderstanding fueled by fear and desperation, led to a deep-seated rift between the villagers and the guardians. The betrayal was swift and unforgiving, shattering the trust that had been the cornerstone of their relationship. In response to this act of treachery, a powerful curse was cast upon the Mongolos, transforming them from revered guardians into the monstrous beings that now brought destruction to Elder Mist. The curse was a harsh punishment, intended to sever the bond between man and nature and to instill a sense of fear and caution in the hearts of the villagers. The once noble protectors were twisted by the enchantment, their forms morphing into grotesque giants driven by an unrelenting rage. Their eyes, once symbols of wisdom and protection, now burned with an intensity that mirrored the pain and betrayal that had cursed them. Thaddeus realized that the only way to break the curse was to restore the balance that had been lost. It required more than just a superficial act of reconciliation, it demanded a genuine understanding and acknowledgement of the past, a heartfelt gesture of forgiveness that could mend the shattered harmony between Elder Mist and the guardians of the forest. Determined to find a way to lift the curse, Thaddeus meticulously documented the symbols and their meanings, piecing together the ritual that had the potential to reverse the ancient enchantment. He understood that this quest was not just about saving his village from the immediate threat of the Mongolos but also about healing the wounds of the past and restoring the sacred bond that had once united them. With the knowledge gained from the monolith, Thaddeus knew that he held the key to redemption, for both the villagers of Elder Mist and the corrupted guardians that had become their tormentors. The path forward was fraught with challenges, but his unwavering resolve gave him the strength to continue. As he prepared to leave the clearing, the symbols on the monolith glowed softly, as if acknowledging his determination and guiding him towards the next crucial steps in his mission to save Elder Mist from the brink of annihilation. As he took one last look at the ancient stone, Thaddeus felt a surge of determination. The answers he sought were within his reach, and he was prepared to do whatever it took to save his village and honor the legacy of the guardians who had once protected them. With renewed resolve, he began to retrace his steps, the monolith's luminescent symbols guiding him towards the next phase of his quest. With the revelations from the ancient monolith etched firmly in his mind, Thaddeus retraced his steps through the dense blackthorn forest. The path, now familiar yet filled with an air of expectancy, seemed to guide him back to Elder Mist with a newfound purpose. The weight of his discoveries pressed upon him, each step fueled by the hope that he held the key to salvation. As dawn broke, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, Thaddeus emerged from the forest's edge, the silhouette of Elder Mist slowly coming into view. The village, though scarred by the night's events, stood resilient against the morning light. Smoke rose gently from the remnants of destroyed homes, mingling with the crisp air. King Aldrich awaited him in the great hall, his expression a mixture of relief and anxiety. The room, though still bearing the marks of destruction, was filled with a tense anticipation. Villagers, weary and weary-eyed, watched as Thaddeus approached the throne, his presence commanding the room's attention. Thaddeus's voice resonated with a blend of urgency and determination as he began to recount the visions he had experienced. He described the harmonious existence between Elder Mist and the guardians of Blackthorn Forest, the betrayal that had fractured their bond, and the curse that had transformed protectors into relentless destroyers. His words painted a vivid picture of a past that was both tragic and pivotal to their present predicament. King Aldrich, Thaddeus concluded, the Mongolos are not merely beasts of destruction. They are bound by an ancient curse, a consequence of actions long forgotten. To lift this curse, we must undertake a ritual of reconciliation, an act of genuine forgiveness and restoration. The room fell silent, the gravity of Thaddeus's revelation sinking in. King Aldrich, though skeptical at first, recognized the sincerity and depth of the historian's knowledge. The path to healing Elder Mist was clear, but fraught with uncertainty and the need for collective courage. "We have no choice," King Aldrich declared, his voice steady despite the turmoil within. "If there is a way to save our village and restore harmony, we must pursue it. Thaddeus, you will lead us in this endeavor. The fate of Elder Mist rests in our hands." The villagers, inspired by their king's resolve and Thaddeus's unwavering commitment, found a renewed sense of purpose. The shared determination to confront their fears and seek redemption united them, setting the stage for the ritual that could change their lives forever. Under the cloak of another moonless night, Elder Mist transformed into a sanctuary of solemnity and hope. The Great Hall, though bearing the scars of the Mongolos' rampage, became the epicenter of the village's united effort to mend the fractured bond with the Guardians. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation as villagers moved with purposeful intent, each contributing to the preparations in their own way. Families gathered to assemble offerings that symbolized their collective gratitude and remorse. Baskets filled with ripe fruits, golden grains, and freshly baked bread were carefully arranged on sturdy tables, their vibrant colors a stark contrast against the darkened room. These offerings were not merely gifts but tangible expressions of the villagers' willingness to make amends and restore balance. In a quiet corner, villagers wrote heartfelt apologies on parchment, their hands steady despite the underlying tension. Words of regret and promises of change were penned with meticulous care, each letter an attestation to the depth of their remorse and the sincerity of their intentions. These written apologies were to be presented as part of the ritual, serving as a bridge between past transgressions and future reconciliation. Elders and artisans worked side by side, crafting intricate symbols and decorations that adorned the Great Hall. Ropes of dried flowers intertwined with strands of fabric, creating patterns that echoed the ancient carvings on the monolith. These decorations were not only beautiful but imbued with meaning, each element chosen to enhance the ritual's significance. As the night deepened, a hushed reverence settled over the villagers. The preparations were complete, and the time for the ritual had arrived. Thaddeus stood before the assembled crowd, his presence calm and commanding. His eyes reflected the weight of responsibility and the hope that had been rekindled within him. He knew that the success of the ritual depended not only on his knowledge but also on the collective will of the entire community. Tonight, Thaddeus began, his voice carrying a quiet strength, "We stand together to heal the wounds of our past. Through this ritual, we seek not only to lift the curse that binds the Mongolos but to restore the harmony that once defined Elder Mist and Blackthorn Forest. Let our actions be guided by genuine remorse and a steadfast commitment to reconciliation." The villagers nodded in agreement, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of candlelight. The stage was set for the ritual that would determine the future of their village, a moment that required both courage and unity. As Thaddeus prepared to lead the ceremony, the air was filled with a sense of purpose, each individual contributing to a collective hope that transcended the fear and devastation of the past. The Great Hall was enveloped in a profound stillness as Thaddeus approached the ancient stone monolith, now positioned at the room's center. The carvings that once seemed enigmatic now served as a focal point, their intricate patterns illuminated by the flickering candles that adorned the hall. The villagers gathered around, forming a circle that symbolized unity and collective strength. Thaddeus raised his hands, the parchment apologies held firmly in his grasp. His voice began to chant, the words resonating with a deep, melodic cadence that filled the hall. The chants were a blend of old languages and heartfelt pleas, a harmonious plea for forgiveness and restoration. The sound was both soothing and powerful, creating an atmosphere charged with emotion and intent. As Thaddeus chanted, the symbols on the monolith began to glow with an ethereal light, their luminescence pulsating in rhythm with his voice. The room seemed to respond to the chants, the air thickening with energy as the ritual gained momentum. The villagers joined in, their voices blending seamlessly with Thaddeus's, creating a symphony of determination and hope. The offerings were placed before the monolith, each basket meticulously arranged to represent the villagers' gratitude and remorse. The written apologies were laid out alongside the fruits and grains, their presence a tangible manifestation of the village's desire to make amends. The combination of these elements created a powerful synergy, the offerings enhancing the ritual's potency. Thaddeus moved around the monolith, his chants growing stronger and more fervent. The symbols on the stone seemed to come alive, their light intensifying and spreading throughout the great hall. The villagers felt a surge of energy, a collective force that bound them together in their shared purpose. The atmosphere was electric, every heart beating in unison with the rhythm of the ritual. "We ask for forgiveness," Thaddeus continued, his voice unwavering, "for our transgressions and for the harmony that was lost. May this ritual bridge the gap between our past and our future, restoring the balance that sustains Elder Mist and the guardians of Blackthorn Forest. As the chants reached their peak, the energy in the room seemed to crystallize around the monolith. The light emanating from the carvings enveloped the great hall, bathing the villagers in a warm, radiant glow. The symbols on the stone pulsated with an increasing intensity, their light merging with the collective energy of the ritual. The air shimmered with a transformative power, the culmination of centuries-old tensions and the village's heartfelt plea for peace. In that moment, the boundaries between the natural and the supernatural blurred, the ancient magic of Blackthorn Forest responding to the villagers' genuine intent. The ritual had reached its zenith, and the true test of their unity and determination was about to unfold. As the ritual reached its climax, the great hall was bathed in a brilliant light that radiated from the heart of the monolith. The ethereal glow intensified, spreading outward and enveloping the entire village in its luminous embrace. The air vibrated with a harmonious resonance, a tangible sign that the ritual was taking effect. In the midst of this radiant transformation, the Mongolos began to reappear. Their monstrous forms, once sources of fear and destruction, now moved towards the monolith with a hesitance that belied their previous aggression. The villagers watched in awe as the colossal beings approached, their eyes no longer burning with rage but reflecting a deep sorrow and longing for peace. As the light from the monolith enveloped the Mongolos, a miraculous transformation began to take place. Their hulking frames softened, their claws retracting, and their menacing expressions gave way to features of grace and serenity. The once fearsome guardians were being restored to their original, majestic forms, ethereal beings of beauty and strength, their presence a testament to the forest's enduring magic. The transformation was gradual yet profound. Each Mongolo that emerged from the darkness shed its monstrous exterior, revealing the noble guardians that had been lost to the curse. Their movements became more deliberate and gentler, as if waking from a long, tortured slumber. The light continued to cascade over them, purifying and healing the wounds inflicted by the ancient enchantment. "The curse is lifted," Thaddeus proclaimed, his voice filled with a mix of relief and triumph. "The guardians are restored, and harmony is reclaimed." With their transformation complete, the guardians stood tall and graceful, their presence radiating a sense of calm and protection. The villagers felt a surge of hope and gratitude, their fears dissolving in the wake of the curse's dissolution. The once devastated Great Hall now echoed with a renewed sense of purpose and unity. King Aldrich addressed his people, his voice resonating with relief and optimism. "Let this night be a testament to our strength and our capacity for forgiveness. Through unity and understanding, we have restored the balance that sustains Elder Mist and the guardians of Blackthorn Forest." As the first light of dawn broke through the trees, the village of Elder Mist stood transformed. The bond between humans and guardians had been mended, ushering in a new era of peace and prosperity. The once devastated village began the process of rebuilding, guided by the wisdom and protection of the restored guardians. Thaddeus, hailed as a hero, continued his work with renewed vigor, ensuring that the lessons of the past would never be forgotten. Elder Mist flourished, a beacon of unity and resilience, forever marked by the events of that fateful night but stronger for having endured them. The Great Hall, now a symbol of reconciliation and hope, remained a central place for the villagers, where they could honor the past and look towards a future filled with promise. The guardians of Blackthorn Forest watched over Elder Mist, their presence a constant reminder of the enduring power of forgiveness and the importance of maintaining harmony with the natural world. As the sun fully rose, casting its warm light upon the healed village, the night of the Mongolos became a story of redemption and the triumph of unity over chaos. Elder Mist stood as an undeniable mark of the resilience of its people and the unbreakable bonds that held them together, ensuring that such a night would never again threaten their peaceful existence. As the first rays of dawn pierced through the canopy of Blackthorn Forest, Elder Mist began to stir from its long night of fear and devastation. The oppressive darkness that had once cloaked the village lifted, replaced by the gentle embrace of morning light. The villagers, weary yet resilient, emerged from their shelters to witness the remarkable transformation that had unfolded overnight. The great hall, once ravaged by destruction, stood restored and even more magnificent than before. The intricate carvings that adorned its walls shimmered with a renewed brilliance, reflecting the harmonious energy that had suffused the ritual. Lanterns hung from every beam, casting a warm, inviting glow that symbolized the village's rebirth and the rekindling of hope. Villagers gathered in the heart of Elder Mist, their faces illuminated by smiles that had been absent since the Mongolos' attack. Laughter and joyous chatter filled the air, a stark contrast to the terror that had plagued them just hours earlier. Children danced freely, their movements light and carefree, while adults shared stories of survival and resilience. The bonds of community, once strained by fear, were now fortified by shared triumph and renewed trust. At the center of the celebration stood the transformed guardians. No longer the monstrous figures that had wrought havoc upon Elder Mist, they had returned to their original, majestic forms. Their presence exuded a sense of calm and protection, their eyes reflecting a profound gratitude for the villagers' efforts to restore balance. The guardians moved gracefully among the people, their movements serene and purposeful, embodying the harmony that had been painstakingly achieved. The restoration of Elder Mist was not merely physical but deeply spiritual. The villagers felt an unspoken connection to the forest and its guardians, a bond that had been reforged through their collective courage and willingness to seek forgiveness. The air was thick with a sense of accomplishment and the promise of a peaceful future, where humans and guardians coexisted in mutual respect and understanding. As the sun climbed higher, casting its golden light upon the village, the true extent of the restoration became evident. Fields that had been trampled were now lush and green, crops swaying gently in the breeze as if welcoming the new day. Homes that had been destroyed were rebuilt with renewed vigor, each structure a symbol of the villagers' determination to rebuild and thrive once more. Elder Mist had emerged from the darkness not just unscathed, but stronger and more united than ever. The trials they had endured had instilled a profound sense of resilience and a deeper appreciation for the delicate balance that sustained their way of life. The legacy of that fateful night was one of redemption and the enduring power of unity, lessons that would guide the village for generations to come. King Eldrick. Let this night remind us of the strength found in forgiveness and the importance of living in harmony with the world around us. May Elder Mist flourish under the vigilant care of our guardians, and may our unity guide us through any darkness that may come our way. As the sun fully rose, casting its warm light upon the healed village, Elder Mist stood as a beacon of resilience and hope. The great hall, now a symbol of reconciliation, echoed with the laughter and joy of a community reborn. The transformed guardians remained ever watchful, their presence a constant reminder of the balance that had been restored. Yet, as life returned to normalcy, the ancient monolith in the heart of Blackthorn Forest stood silent, its mysteries intact and its secrets preserved for those who sought them with open hearts. The villagers knew that while the immediate threat had been vanquished, the forest still held untold stories and hidden truths, waiting to be discovered by those brave enough to seek them. Legends of Elder Mist and the Night of the Mongolos continued to be passed down through generations, each retelling a vivid representation of the village's enduring spirit and the power of unity. The story served as a cautionary tale of the consequences of disrupting harmony and the importance of seeking understanding and forgiveness in the face of adversity. For those who dared to venture into Blackthorn Forest, whispers of the guardian's watchfulness lingered in the wind. Shadows moved with purpose, and the faint glow of the monolith hinted at the magic that still permeated the woods. The legacy of the Mongolos was not one of endless fear, but of a profound lesson in resilience, redemption, and the unbreakable bond between humans and the natural world. Thank you for joining us on this Elder Mist's darkest night. What did you think about this story? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. If you enjoyed this story, give us a like, subscribe for more taunting stories, and hit the bell icon to stay updated. Until next time, stay curious and beware the shadows.